I'm 24 years old, and just 9 months ago, I started my online offer. And 9 months later, I've made over 300,000 US dollars. But I can put it all down to this one singular mindset hack. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly why this mindset is causing your business to suffer, and exactly if you fix it, what the results will be. And then I'll give you the exact ways to fix it as well. And I know you've probably come here for business advice. I talk on my channel about how to scale your online offer. But in this video, let me be very clear to you that this mindset is the singular thing that I believe has helped me scale so quickly. And if you can sit down and watch it, then you're going to be in a great place to be able to not only identify when this happens to you, but also fix it. And it's definitely going to be something that you can relate to. And the reason that I discovered this mindset kind of hack that I developed in myself was when I had a conversation with my head of sales. And he said to me, after we just closed someone for multiple four figures, he said, "Why do you not seem happy?" And I said, "Because I don't celebrate my wins." And he said, he couldn't understand that. He was like, you must be happy about, making multiple four figures, adding to making multiple five figures per month. And I said that I don't celebrate my wins. And I want to explain to you exactly why, because I assume when you're watching this video that when you get a close, you're absolutely ecstatic. We know the videos of people closing. I've got videos of myself closing back in January and February when I was first scaling my offer and bringing in the good numbers. And I was like celebrating around the room. But then I realized there was a massive problem with that, a humongous problem with that. And that's why if I close or I don't close, my emotions don't change. And I want to explain to you why this is affecting your business so much if you're incredibly happy with closing people, if you're incredibly happy with bringing people into your offer. You probably relate to that feeling. And just to double down on that, you probably relate to that feeling as well on the negative side, which is that feeling of pure annoyance and pain of not closing someone. You jump on a call and you can help them, you can benefit them, they might even have the money, but then they don't close, they don't decide to go and work with you. And that probably frustrates you a lot as well. Like, it frustrated me. I went through a time where I almost wanted to quit sales calls because of how annoying it was to jump on all of these calls with all of these people that I knew I could help, and I just couldn't get them over the line. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you why either of those feelings is a very negative sign for your business, and how it's going to absolutely kill your longevity and your growth in your online business and the service business. But if you can nail this, then I promise you, having seen this from multiple people making six figures, multi-six figures a month, and also having seen the transformation of myself, it will be an absolute game changer for your business. And to do this, I need to draw a graph on the whiteboard behind me. This graph is basically the idea of the money or sales. And this is basically the zones that I'm going to talk to you about. The idea is that what happens is you're just going about your day-to-day basis, right? This is time. This is like you in a week, let's say. Let me just make sure this is good. Cool. This is you in a week. And what happens is when you jump on a sales call and you close someone, you're just going about your week, whatever, not getting any closes. You book in a sales call and then you close someone and your excitement goes through the roof, which is great. And then maybe you go back to normal and then you close someone else again. And then maybe you're like, okay, life is great. Your excitement levels are like this. This is like the money, the sales. It also can be like excitement as well. They're almost like a proxy for each other, right? So your money is linked to your sales, obviously, and then your sales is linked to your excitement. It's like that feeling when you're absolutely buzzing. And then what happens is you don't close someone and you go down. And then you don't close someone and you go down. You get the picture, right? So these are like the closes. These are when you make the money. These are like dollars. And these are when you don't make the money. When you hit these bottoms, it's like no close, no close. And then what we want to look at here is the idea of these two zones, which absolutely kill people from my city. So the problem, there's almost two zones here. I want to create these zones for us now. So these zones are really important to talk about because they are the exact things that are absolutely killing your business. So this first one is the concept of the excitement. And what we want to talk about is the dangers of the excitement zone, because both of these zones we do not want to be in. The thing about this zone, right, you probably get into this zone quite regularly because you get a sale and you're absolutely buzzing. You're like, oh, life is so good. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to retire my parents, all that sort of thing. This is the danger zone where you like hate your life. You're miserable. You're like, this sucks. This is the worst thing in the world. I hate this business. Maybe it's time to pivot. But we need to get you out of being out of both of these zones. And I try incredibly hard to never enter these zones, because this is the zone that my sales rep didn't understand why I didn't get into. Because what would actually happen is I would close someone. And if you like the blue line, let's imagine that's me. I just stay like this the whole time. And let me explain why, because I got into this danger zone, and what would happen is I get so excited, the adrenaline would be absolutely incredible. It is the most addictive feeling. You probably have this, right? When you make a sale or something like that, you get that addictive feeling. But the problem is you get to this point and you're like, I'm absolutely killing it. And you get complacent. You stop doing the things that have got you into this zone in the first place. For example, maybe you're like, oh, I can go out and celebrate with my friends instead of making content. Or maybe I can, instead of, putting some graft into helping my clients, I could go and spend some money on a business class flight or something like that. Like something like that, you get complacent. And the problem with this zone is complacency absolutely kills your business. So that's the negative of being in this zone. But this is even worse, because the thing about this is if you get into this zone, what happens? You either give up, or you burn out, or you have a breakdown. They're the kind of three things that I think happen in this zone. This is the excitement level. This is pure depression. This is like, I hate my life. And if you're in this zone here, then you're either gonna give up, you're gonna burn out, or you're gonna break down, which all probably leads to you giving up. And the way that I wanna link this all together, because you're probably thinking, okay, this zone, don't wanna be complacent. This zone, I don't want my excitement levels to drop this low into the kind of depression zone. I don't want to give up. I don't want to burn out, and I don't want to have a breakdown. And the reason with that is if you do not celebrate these, you will not get these. And I want to repeat that one more time, because this is the crux of this video, is if you do not celebrate these, i.e. the highs, you do not need to experience the lows. And that is exactly what I said to my sales rep. I said, look, I don't celebrate doing well. I don't celebrate these. And the benefit of that is I don't have to experience these. I don't have to experience these because I don't want to feel the lows. I don't want to get myself to the point where I give up, I burn out, or I break down. Because I was in that period when I was just like, I was battling away with these. I'd be running around my room celebrating, and these I'd be depressed in my bed going, why does no one want to buy from me? But now I have this line. It's like a line of equilibrium. And the best thing about that is I now don't need to be affected by these because I don't have these. So when someone buys your product, it's just like next job. Okay, great. The money's in the bank account. Great. The money's in the business. Move on. Because then what happens is when someone doesn't close, you're also like, all right, I don't care. Next job, same thing. I know what I need to do now. And this is the crux that I need you to understand before I can explain exactly how to fix it. Because you have to understand how fucking dangerous this is. Because this leads to this, which leads to this, which leads to this. And this part is the worst outcome for everyone because your business stops. So we cannot let this happen. So to be very clear, complacence and celebrating your sales leads to this depression region, which leads to burnout, breakdown, which leads to you giving up. And that's why you can't have that happen. And that's why you absolutely cannot celebrate your wins. And that's why I believe that I've been able to scale so quickly because of the fact that I now don't care. I have 2 sales calls later, don't care if I close them. I had 2 sales calls yesterday, I closed them both. Amazing, but I didn't care. Like I acted in the exact same way every single day. So now you're wondering, so there's this problem. How do you fix it? Because it's easy like talking about the problem, but how can I actually stop this? Because you'll probably say that I love making money. I can't get rid of that feeling. Like I want to get rid of that feeling. I understand these zones now, but how the hell do I actually get rid of that feeling that you've just spoken? There are 3 ways to do this. First is this, inputs, not outputs. Because what I do is I now attach my self-worth, I attach my excitement, the zone that we spoke about up here, to this, inputs. Because the thing is, you cannot control the outputs that happen. There are too many variables in outputs. For example, time of the year, seasons, weather, market conditions, just to name a few of the many thousands of variables that control the outputs, which in this case for you is making money. What you can control is the inputs. You can control how many bits of content you post, how many outbound messages you send. You can control the amount of times you're willing to jump on a call with your clients. You can control the inputs. And I now celebrate these beyond belief. I feel more happiness when I make a banging YouTube video than I do when I close a multi-4-figure client. That's the difference, because this I can control. So I want to base my happiness off doing the things that I can control. That is something I feel happy with, because then I only have a low when I know that I haven't achieved the thing that I want. That's the way that I operate that. So inputs over outputs. Please think about the things that you need to do in order to make you the money, and then celebrate doing this and you'll stop caring about this. Easiest hack in the world. Think, what right now can you do which is going to be defined as an input, and then create happiness around that. Celebrate that feeling. Celebrate what that looks like. It's like celebrating going to the gym as opposed to having a six-pack. Like, it's great to celebrate having a six-pack, but then what happens if you want to have a dessert? You're going to feel awful. Whereas if you know every day, I feel great going to the gym, I'm happy I went to the gym, then you can control that part. And controlling the controllables is awesome. Remove money mindset. Because the thing about money mindset is all of us are fucked when it comes to money. Because we have lived in or we have been brought up by a generation that have an incredibly scarce mindset. Even if you live in America, but very definitely if you live in the UK and Australia and in parts of Europe, you've got a fucked money mindset. I remember my dad used to say to me, money doesn't grow on trees. And that little small sentence has affected my money mindset so much. And I now understand that my poor money mindset was absolutely killing me because of the fact that I was so scarce. Like, when I got that multi-4 figures put in my bank account, I could not control the feeling of pure joy because I knew I wasn't going to fail. I was celebrating not running out of money. And that is because I had a bad money mindset. I didn't believe in abundance. I didn't believe that money does grow on trees. That's my favorite phrase to say now. And people laugh when I say it. But I say money does grow on trees, because that feeling of saying to someone money grows on trees means that you know that money is coming from everywhere. There is value everywhere in the world, and there is a million ways to make money. And living out here in Bali, I see all of these people who you probably see online, maybe you see in person as well, who are making hundreds of thousands doing all of these different cool business models. So I removed my money mindset, or what I'd say more is my poor money mindset. That means that when I get a big dump of money into my bank account, I'm like, cool, I can just make that next week if I want to. I love making money, but not because of the fact that I know it's going to run out. I just know that it's like, I love it because I can spend it on people that I love and small things that I enjoy spending it on. But in general, I've just got rid of like, okay, I've made loads of money. That's incredible. I'm in pure abundance with money. And that's what I'd recommend for you is, how can you get yourself out of scarce feeling where you're hoarding it and saving it, versus just freely feeling like you can spend it. In this online business world, if you want to be successful, you have to have a pure abundant state when it comes to money. And what you'll find is, with the law of attraction, you'll make more money when you start spending it, and start also not fearing it when it doesn't or does come into your bank account. You don't want to have that graph when it comes to money where you feel incredible when you have it and you don't feel good when you don't have it. You just want to feel neutral the whole time. And I think the most important way to get rid of it, stop feeling failure. I read a great book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and you've probably watched it. It's one of the big entrepreneurship books. And the author talks about this idea that most people just don't succeed because they are so scared of what happens if things go wrong. And with the graph, when you've got the graph like this, the problem is most people are just thinking in this point here, I'm going to fail. Life is going to go wrong. I'm going to get that diagram off. I don't like the look of that diagram, but people are so scared. You're probably so scared when you don't make a close, because you think that it means you're going to fail. I had this so many times. Every time I didn't close, I go through this thought pattern of thinking, okay, I didn't close, so I'm going to run out of money, which comes to this one, which then comes back to the fact that I'm going to have to go back to England, which then comes back to the fact I'm going to probably have to live with my parents, and then probably comes back to the fact that I'm going to have to tell my dad that I've not succeeded. Something like that. That is because I'm so scared of failure. And now I've got rid of that fear of failure. I don't care, because I know that the worst outcome is I can just get a job. The worst outcome is I will make it work. And also, I don't care if I fail, because I know that I gave it a shot in the first place. So to not have that spiky little graph, and to just have that line of equilibrium, knowing that you are not going to fail, or knowing that if you do fail, it doesn't matter, is a great way to think about it. And imagining the disaster scenario, work through that in your head and think, what happens if I do actually fail? What is the worst outcome? And I think about it, I'm like, going back to my parents' house is not the worst thing in the world. I'm very fortunate that I can actually do that. what is your worst scenario? Because even if you don't have a home comfort like being able to go back to your parents' house, there's jobs everywhere. You could easily find a job. You're not gonna die if you don't get a sale. And that means that when you're in that low point, when you're in that feeling of, oh, what's gonna happen? It doesn't matter, because what's the worst that can happen? You can play that out and it rationalize it in your head. And human beings are most scared of things that they cannot understand, they cannot conceptualize. Whereas when you start conceptualizing things and putting numbers and reality, what's the worst that can happen? And that's the easiest way to basically get rid of that little curve like that and just have a flat line of equilibrium, detach yourself from the outcome, make loads of money, and enjoy it at the same time.